Welcome back to another video. Today we're looking at Final Fantasy XVI, the playable demo. And we're doing the proposed minimum requirement, which is the Ryzen 5 1600 or the i5 8400, 16GB of memory, the Radeon RX5700, the Arc A580, finally an Intel card, and or the GTX1070. Non-TI apparently. And we have a perfect target from the dev. 30 FPS, need to be 720p, and I'm guessing this is at low presets. And the GPU need to be 8GB of VRAM or more. The mini disclaimer, I'm playing on a fresh install of Windows with the game and driver and updates. No junkware, no spyware, no whateverware. So I'm starting off with the Ryzen 5 1600, 16GB of memory, and the RX5700. We're playing as recommended 720p low settings. And doing so, for the part I've played, I've got an average of 88 FPS. This is way higher than 30 FPS. I don't know if at some point somewhere in the game in the future, not the demo, we're going to drop down to 30 FPS at 720p, but right now the GPU is at 96% utilization, using 6GB of VRAM out of 8. The CPU is quite well also, 60% of utilization, and the system memory we are at 8.4. So let's crank up those settings to at least 1080p. And when you look at that, 1080p is still highly playable. We are at 46 FPS. The GPU is finally pegged at 98-99%. The CPU is doing even less. You now drop to 33% of utilization, and the system memory barely changed anything. We are currently at the 8.3 fighting this fat goblin. Really highly playable. I don't know how it will fare when you reach a big city, but so far for the whole demo, the game was playing pretty well at 1080p. Since you won't get swarmed like in Warhammer 40k Space Marine 2, I don't think can go really that lower than that. Maybe reach 30 FPS when you reach a big city, but so far it looks quite good. Now jumping to the Intel CPU side, the i5 8400 I don't have. The closest I have is the i3 9100F, which is 4-core 4-thread versus 6-core 6-thread, but way higher clock speed. Anyway, the issue is not that. The issue is the GTX1070. At 1080p, it can do what the RX5700 was able to do. The GPU is pegged at 100% and we're averaging 18 FPS. I don't even think the 1070 Ti with about 20% more performance will reach 30 FPS at 1080p. I guess we've reached a stage where the 10 series aging quite a lot. Cannot do a 30 FPS at 1080p on a game at low settings. Even the i3 9100F is almost laughing at the GPU, waiting for tasks to be done, only using 34% of utilization. So dropping back to the recommended setting of 720p for the GTX 1070 non-TI, we finally be able to play at over 30 FPS. We're actually averaging 37 FPS. It is finally playable, but we're playing at 720p. It's not the prettiest. At least you're not playing a FPS game. We can say yes, it achieved what the dev said it should be, or just over 30 FPS at 720p low settings, but it's 720p, you know, we're in 2024 right now. And yes, the card is from 2016, so it's getting old. For the GTX 1070 to be pegged at 100% at 720p, it's quite something. At least the GPU is helping a bit because now it's at 65% of its utilization compared to the 33. And the last card, the A580 on the Intel platform, so we keep the i3 9100F. And just to give you a comparison with the GTX 1070, I'm playing the same scene that the GTX 1070 was doing at 720p, but now we are at 1080p low settings and we're reaching 32 FPS. Yes, the GPU is pegged at 100% right now, so don't expect to go higher settings unless you go 720p medium settings. The CPU still have some space to play around at 57-ish % of utilization, and for the system memory we almost at 10GB. So I'll say the RX57 or the A580 would be a good choice to play this game, because even if you can play 720p with the GTX 1070, there's over 20 or 30 hours of a cutscene, so it's like watching cinema on a really small screen. It would be awful. I don't know why they recommend 720p for a game that is so visually appealing, but anyway. By the way, I also tried the RX590, RX580 and RX570 8GB variant, and the game don't even launch, so don't even think about it. On that note, thanks for watching and see you on the next one. Subscribe.